today to go and get the boat ready. Tomorrow it's going to come out of the water, probably for like 6 to 12 months, to basically go over everything, fix everything that we need to fix to make it a home, and get it ready to sail off into the ocean. So we bought it a couple of months ago, and it had been sitting for a year when we bought it, and that bloke basically just bought it, sailed it from Scarborough up to Mooloolaba, and then left it there because it wasn't going to work for him. It was him and his son were supposed to go up to Indonesia and sail up there in one of those rallies that leave from here and go up there for a while, but his son had autism and it wasn't going to work for him. He just didn't like it, so the bloke just basically left it and put it up for sale, and that was it. The guy before him had it for about 15 years, and the original owner had it for about 6 years. It was made in about 1995 or something, the boat. And, the bloke had it for 15 years is an old bloke, and he's basically just, I don't know, just made it just lots of non-practical kind of things, and just cluttered it and added things that don't work. Just made it hard. It just makes it hard. Like, he's put a big ice box in the chart area, so now you can't get to the electronics, which is my favourite little corner. So I'm going to pull that out. Yeah, lots of little bits of rope and stuff that kind of, I don't know where they go, or can't see any use for them. There's a sail locker on that boat up in the bow, and it's just, you can't move in there. There's so many different ropes and stuff, and they're all kind of just extras that you don't use. Like, I understand having some spares, but there's just so much of it that it's just not practical, and it just gets in the way. So I reckon you just need, half a dozen mooring lines and a couple of anchor ropes and a couple of spare halyards, and that's about it. All the rest is kind of just taking up valuable space. And he's got this crazy looking copper pipe that is guiding the chain out of the windlass into like a chain locker, but it kind of goes right in the area where you need to be, and there's a chain locker directly underneath the windlass. So I don't know why he's got it set up like that. So just another thing to change, and the V-berth needs to be changed around a bit. I got my cousin who's a carpenter who's going to come down and help me change the bed and take the walls out, because there's a lot of wasted space there that we can use and have an almost, I reckon we can get a queen size bed out of it. So that'll be nice. And change the cupboards, make them bigger, have a little entertainment wall so we can put a TV there and run some power to the right areas. It's kind of got 12 volt plugs that you got to plug other things into other plugs, and it's just dodgy. It's dodgy. So the bathroom's going to get redone. They've drilled a big hole in the teak wall for a manual pump out, so they can pump out of a bladder for a holding tank. And I'll show you later on how I'm going to do it and make that better. I'm going to put 2 huge water tanks and a water maker underneath the V-berth, and a nice gas hot water system for the shower. I'm going to make the shower bigger and change some things in there so it's a lot easier and more practical, more headroom, all that kind of thing. Yeah, that's just the start of it. There's not too much to do on the deck. Like, all the rigging's good, and it's not too bad. We want to change the Dodger and make that stronger because it's a bit flimsy, and redesign the whole back. There's like 15 aerials and little GPS antennas, and you got cables running in through the window, and just chaos. Like, there's an easier way to do all that. So I'm going to do all the electronics by myself. I've got other HF radios and stuff, and when we redesign the chart area, it's going to be like a little office. We'll have a bench with a printer, and all the radios will be set in there neat, and new switchboard gauges for all the tanks. So we'll have new water tanks, a holding tank, an extra fuel tank. You know, we're going to make it good enough so that we can stay on it and not have to worry. We're going to rebuild the engine. That way, you know, when we leave, we know everything's going to be 100%, and we're not going to have to try and chase parts for things and, you know, do running repairs all the time. Like, I know things break down, but if you can make it good before you go, you're half the battle's won, you know. So I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where people have bought boats and they've sailed off and they just run into trouble, and they spend a lot of time fixing things instead of surfing and diving and enjoying their time out there. So, and it's not easy to get parts when you're in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, it's going to be the start of something awesome for Sarah and I. Like, her business is really starting to take off, and I'm not working now. I'm kind of just working for her, doing all the admin stuff and all the computer work, and trying to learn myself about music therapy. She's a music therapist, and soon I'm going to be doing the safety checks for the houses, you know, for the home visits and stuff. And I'm already doing some of the paperwork and things. So, and I get to cook and clean for the sweet girl and make sure she's got a lovely dinner waiting for her when she gets home. And yeah, I like my new job. It's good. It's good. Plus, I get time to take care of all these other things. Like, it's not something that you can just take for granted. Like, we're putting our lives, you know, in this boat. Like, once you get a couple of miles offshore, no one's going to come and rescue you, you know. Like, this boat's got a brand new life raft on it, but you know, I'd hate to watch the boat sink over something silly and just jump in a life raft when it could have been prevented through you know, taking the time to go through everything, change things that I can see are potential problems. Like, one of the other things on this boat that the guy's done is there's a whaler pump, which is basically a manual bilge pump that's out on in the cockpit, and the pipe goes nowhere. It just finishes, finishes in the bilge, and it's not attached to anything. So, and he's got this other one in the bilge, but they've put a through hole in the side of the hull, but below the waterline. So when you open the tap, water comes into the bilge, and so basically where it is now, there's no bilge pump, there's no automatic bilge pump. So I can't wait to get it out of the water, because although it was sitting in the water for a year and didn't leak, just not a drop. But it's, I think there's a bit of luck there, because it's not hard to sink a boat. Like you can get a little leak in the prop shaft, packing gland or something, and she's just going to sink. So yeah, and to prove that, we had a look at another boat before we bought this boat. We had a look at a few boats, and it was a boat in 36 or 38 foot or something like that, but it was a little bit too much work for us, and it was a little bit small, and another guy bought it. He got it for $5,000. It was a good deal for $5,000. Like, everything was there. It just really needed to be completely restored, sandblasted, re-epoxied, the whole bit. But the boat had a lot of history. It was built by an Air Force World War II pilot in the 70s and launched in the 90s. And it was named after one of the planes he flew. And anyway, bloke bought it for $5,000. Took it down to Jumping Pin, and he left it in the water for 3 days. And I don't know why he left it there. Just anchored up, and when he came back, it was sitting on the bottom. It's still there. Waterways are going to charge him $15,000 to move it out of the channel. So it's pretty easy to lose a boat. So that's going to be one of the things I'm going to do. I'm going to redo the whole bilge plumbing setup, put a big pump in it, like a big 3/4 inch pump for the electric automatic, like the float pump, which kicks in automatically if any water comes in. And I'll have a look at the whaler that's there, and I might change that and put a bigger one there, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Anyway, I'm nearly there, so I'll do some more filming, and we'll see what happens. I'm not going to take this YouTube stuff too seriously. Like, we're going to be okay. Like, when we leave, we'll have everything in place. Everything will be ready. And the filming's pretty much just to share in the adventure, maybe inspire some people to change their lifestyles. Like, I think anyone can do it, and there's a lot of people out there doing it that don't have much money. Like, we're not rich people. We don't have much money. We're kind of just flying by the seat of our pants. We don't own a house or anything. So, but mate, you only live once, so you can't. I don't think sitting around paying off a house is our kind of thing. If we had a lot more money, we probably would buy some property somewhere nice in the country, but I'd have the best of both worlds. But right now, I really want to get out and into the Pacific and explore the islands. There's just hundreds and hundreds of islands, amazing diving spots. Like, Sarah and I both have our scuba tickets and gear, and we're going to put a dive compressor on our boat so we can fill up our tanks and just do dive after dive, and surf when we can find some waves. It's just going to be fantastic, and yeah, it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. So yeah, see how we go. The haul out tomorrow, see how she looks out of the water, and the work will begin.